So what's the agenda?
Well, we're gonna do a little vlog style, getting in the car and everything. Mimi's gonna ride in front.
Okay.
I think we drive to South Nashville. We can talk a little bit about
All right. You're on this side? Cool. Okay, so Tanger reached out, feels like a couple years ago now, about this development they were building off the 24. And today it's what's going to be TailGate Brewery South Nashville. But then it was just an announced development. And, Nashville's got new developments announced every day, and you'll have brokers that reach out and say, hey, we really want to have a brewery here because breweries are cool and all that kind of stuff. So these are pretty common phone calls that we get. And we had bought the last couple of buildings that we had opened and committed that we don't want to rent anymore. So when a broker friend of mine who we'd done a deal with before called and told me about this job, he said, hey, these guys want to meet you, and they want to talk about local, they want to talk about craft, and they've got a new vision for this shopping center that is not what they've been doing at their other places. Will you meet him? I said, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this guy's a friend of mine. He's a broker and does really good by us and is a big fan of ours. So I took the meeting, and our plate was pretty full with opening 3 stores last year. And it was like, yeah, it's interesting, but I'm not renting buildings anymore, was kind of the conversation, I being TailGate. And, the more they just kind of kept talking and, hey, here's the design, here's our intent, here's the rest of the tenants, here's, the new Nashville Soccer Club corporate office that's going in, here's the new hospital center offices that are going in. So there's a lot of built-in traffic, there's residents. It's a really, really nice development in an area that, I have a lot of friends that live, and we have a lot of fans that live. So it's a really nice part of town, and it's on that Brentwood side of the 24 that, if you've ever driven the 24, it's pretty fucking busy. So it's one of those deals we just kind of kept talking, and then one day it was just kind of came down to like, okay, well, if you don't want to do it, what would you do it for? And I always tell people I'm not a really good negotiator because I don't really believe in like high ball, low ball or anything like that. It's just, what can you do this for, and does it make sense? And if you want to do it, then great. And we've been fortunate that we can get to a point now where we can work with people we want to work with. We can be selective of where we work, and we can be really deliberate with what we're doing as an organization. So I said, hey, I think I like the place. Let me sleep on it. And so we kept talking, and ultimately it was like, all right, I know I like the place. Here's the timing that makes sense, which was most important. And then these are the deal terms. And all that kind of came together quickly, easily. Tanger as an organization was wonderful to work with. The guy, Bryant, who did all of the representation throughout the deal process, used to be a retailer himself. So talking with him was really simple. It wasn't like you were talking to some corporate stranger. I mean, he'd come to town, he'd spend time with you, cared about the brand, really believed in it, would text you on his time off, like just was a good dude. You asked questions, he had answers, and it was all really simple. So that part was the easy part. And it was, of course, a part of town that we had identified that we want to be in. We kind of have our dream board of like where those next tap rooms go. And we've played that target list pretty close to the vest, but as those areas pop up, I mean, that's of course step one. And so we got from start to finish pretty easily at that point. Like they made it very, very simple. And we at TailGate Brewery really like simple. We like simple, we like playing within our ecosystem, and we like doing what we're good at because we can deliver on our commitment to be excellent when we do things that way. When it deviates, that's where we fuck up, and we got some work to do. So this fit in that structure pretty well. And then it went into the corporate lease organization and discussion piece that was an absolute fucking nightmare. But it's kind of the function of big corporate organization, has a lot of legal requirements, which make a lot of sense. I mean, there's some significant retailers. I mean, one of our neighbors is going to be Shake Shack, which is an excellent organization with a lot behind them. You know, that paperwork gets pretty complicated. So that was the next hurdle. And then it was all just timing from there. So, you know, once it was announced that we're going in, we were handed the keys shortly after, and, you know, the race is on. So we're also in the middle of construction in Hendersonville, where we're still finishing out that other main portion of the building. So we've got our own construction company, it's a sister company, doing all the general construction, does all the permitted work for us. So now we're juggling both jobs, which is very on brand for us to go from 0 to 2 at the same time. And of course, they both got to be open like immediately, which is very on brand for us. So there's a grand opening date coming up of October 26th. And with that grand opening date, we've got to be done. And we've got a lot of things that are out of our control, with working with subcontractors and making sure we have certain equipment and so forth. But the stuff that's within our control, we are working like hell to get done. And right now it's just full construction mode, and then concurrently back in the tap rooms and the brewery, we're doing everything to be ready, because it's an interesting dynamic that I didn't really quite piece together the day we put our construction company together. Was all of the work of managing construction is really just the precursor to the work of operating a new tap room. So we're about to put a call out for, you know, hiring for South Nashville and start training and, you know, get people ready to transfer, so that when we open like us. Feels like us, as people that are part of us, culture's correct. We really don't like the typical, hey, new team and everybody flips in 30 days. That's not our model. We really want a team that's happy to be here, likes what we do, care about what we do, and, you know, is comprehensively on board from beer to pizza to people. And we can solve that now, as opposed to opening with a brand new team day one. So that's the next step in the tap rooms, separate of what we're doing with construction. So one of the things that was really attractive to us at this development was, like, Tanger kept saying, hey, we really want local. We understand that shopping centers as we know them are getting a lot of noise, that like big shopping centers are dying and stuff like that. And it's just not true. Like, it doesn't track with their sales or their data. And, you know, like, interestingly and somewhat locally to us, the number one Tanger store is East Tennessee, right? And they've got one, I think it's Sevierville, just outside of Gatlinburg. So their stores and their developments have always done well, but this approach is a little more open air. It's a little more centrally located. It's if you've ever been to Seaside on the Gulf, it kind of reminds me of that, where there's like all these shopping centers, and then there's like some more things like right in the middle, some kiosk type looking businesses. But then, like, they kept saying local, local, local. You know, like, as they were talking to us, it's like, well, hey, who else do you recommend, and who else do you like working with? And, you know, as a brewery, we work with so many different operators in town. It's like, geez, we like a lot of these people, and here's people who've been great supporters of us, and here's people you can talk to. But obviously, like, timing and deal terms have to make sense for them too, and that's where we stepped out. But you know, Prince's Hot Chicken is, you know, arguably one of the most well-liked, or the most well-liked hot chicken in Nashville. And they're coming. I mean, they just run an incredible organization. They're great people. There's a local coffee shop, Red Bicycle Coffee. And then again, there's some big companies, like I mentioned, Shake Shack, and then a lot of like the big retailers that you know and expect. But like some really, really exciting stuff, like Pottery Barn has an outlet. And I mean, those kinds of companies are very deliberate where they put their stores. They do all kinds of demographic and income research that support, you know, that the shopper is going to be capable of supporting their store. They don't just like open a store because it feels good. That's your boy's method of business. But these guys do all the hard work on the back end, right? So there's a lot of different organizations here that are putting a ton into this that makes sense. And again, for us, we're the entry location. And like, I always remember, You know, when I was growing up and we'd go to an outlet, it'd be like P.F. Chang's with like those giant fucking horses or something, like right at the entrance of the outlet. And like, that's how I always pictured those like really cool kind of higher end restaurants that, you know, we'd go meet with like my aunt and go pick up some school clothes. And, you know, then we'd have lunch at this place. And it was always such a treat for us. And now we, TailGate Brewery, have the opportunity to be that for everybody else. And that was a really exciting proposition for us, because like every developer wants a brewery as an anchor tenant, but you still have to run the business, you still have to run it correctly, you still have to run a great product, and that's always the catch, right? Like a lot of breweries don't do that type of business. And so for us, this was something where it's like, hey, we think we do this and we do it well, let's go prove it. And so that was a really exciting opportunity. So this is us right here. Yeah, this is like those action movies where people are like sneaking into like high security places. You just got to look like you know you belong here.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello,
Thank you. I'm Liz.
I'm Nick.
Nice to meet you.
So this is the front door. Coming in from the parking lot. Behind me, we are almost done framing. We've finished all of the in-ground work from a plumbing and electrical standpoint. And what is behind me this way is the whole tap room. This right here is the cooler. So this is going to be beer and food. When it's separated, you can see where there's food on one side, beer on the other. In front of the cooler is going to be the bar. So first thing you see when you come in will be the bar. And then same kind of business model as everything else that we do. It's just going to be order there, food there as well. Where the gentleman is on the ladder is inside the kitchen. We can walk back over there. So this room is the kitchen. And it looks really big right now, but once we start putting everything in it, it's not very big at all. We try to make these as tight as possible to be able to do a good job, but also to not waste space. And so what we're walking through here is all dining area, so tons of room. And then we have the restrooms. So we have a men's, a women's, a family. These are all restrooms and utility, so hot water heaters, stuff like that. This is all more of kind of like that utility stuff, so electrical panels and so forth. The offices for the manager is going to be down there by the cooler, and those things are usually pretty tiny too. But all the rest of this space is all seating and all tap room. And then you want to go see the patio? Let's go look at the patio. That's my favorite one. All right, so watch your step and don't die. So one of the cool things is right behind me is the front entrance, and I'm standing on our patio. This is all going to be covered patio right here, but then we're going to, because all these scaffolds and things are right in the way, there'll be more patio all the way down the entire perimeter of our building, so tons of outdoor seating. So coming in, first thing you're going to see is TailGate Brewery, TailGate Brewery's patio, and lots of outdoor seating, easy to hang. And the cool thing too is like, it's very pedestrian friendly. There's sidewalks coming all the way up. And again, they have this whole outdoor concept that connects all the different locations that you can get from us to any other store really easy. And all kind of have their own vibe, their own thing, but all play well in the sandbox. So we're pretty excited about this. This just got poured last week. And like I said, there's still more to pour, but we're thrilled about it. Yeah, so what's really exciting is we're standing in front of location number 7. And what's really crazy is 14 months ago, we had location number 3. So again, in very typical TailGate fashion, it all just piled up. But very, very exciting to be standing right here 2 months away from open. Thanks, dude.
Chipotle cameo.